the 9th of August this evening. In fact, it's been the 9th of August all day, funny enough, but I'm here in Gamston Wood, not been here for a while, and I'm just deciding, as usual, where I'm going to get set up. There's a bit of a breeze, but at the moment it's confined to the top of the aspens here, some of which have really suffered by the looks of it in this dry summer that continues. I may well go back up that track there, but I could go up this track just here, or I could just stay in this open area. I suspect I might have a few hornets this evening. Either way, not a real problem unless you just get loads of them. The big problem now is, where do I run the trap? I think up there. Or down there. Sometimes I hate decisions. Well, it's a warm start. Despite the breeze, it's very muggy. So it'll be interesting to see what comes in this evening. This might not be a time of year or a month that Dillis and I ever trapped here. We didn't trap very often at Gamston Wood, but I have increasingly in the last couple of years. So I'm looking forward to see what comes into the light, and hopefully we have a good session. Certainly here for at least 2 hours and possibly longer. More warm nights are expected this coming week. Well, it's very busy. Not tremendous numbers of moths, certainly not, but there's been enough coming in that's just kept me constantly busy and making a note of what's coming in, and onto 32 or so species already. And there's been some nice moths in amongst those species. I'll just quickly try and go through the macros. A beautiful one which hasn't unfortunately hung around is Peach Blossom. It's obviously second brood, and it's an absolute beautiful moth. I'll put photos in here and you'll see just what I mean about it being absolutely beautiful. It's one of my favourite species, and I know it is of many moth trappers too. Iron Prominent is one that I don't see very often. One has come in, it has settled down, so I may be able to get some footage of it. If not, it'll be photograph time. So that's a nice one to see come in. And another good moth seems to be the one in here. Not that one. This one, which is a pale egger. A very unusually marked pale egger. It had me scratching my head for a while, and pale egger it is, unfortunately, but it's a nice, quite dark form. That's what really confused me. Normally pale eggers are distinctly quite light grey with a couple of black cross lines on. So this one's going back for photographing and will be brought back here tomorrow. Small Phoenix is another species that's in, nice fresh one. That's another one that's going back to be photographed in the morning. And of the other species that we have in, it's the usual crowd. Orange Swift was the first one in. Light Emerald, second brood of Light Emerald is now on the wing here. And if we go through the micros, Britannia ruralis, the mother of pearl, of course, a diamondback moth, Plutella xylostella, and a very fresh one indeed. Good numbers of Eudonia lacustrata. Now, Eudonia and the Scopari species are notoriously difficult, but some can be learned, and Eudonia lacustrata will turn up whether you're trapping woodland like this or in your urban or suburban garden and being attacked by a range of moths. And just going through what else is in, Cuchali croa atricapitana, there's one for you to mull over, and Argyrestia godardella. I don't catch them so much now, I don't trap at Sherwood Forest. So nice to see, and I need a second eye and prominent is in, and I need to go round the light. It is getting busy now. I didn't think it would, and it's still a nice temperature, 21 centigrade. Beautiful. Well, look who's turned up again. We have another Ledra aurita, the fabulous leaf hopper. And it's amazing because I only trapped the one at Curtain Wood a couple of weeks ago. Here's another one. I've never had two sightings so close together. Off he goes. He's going to jump. I told you. Nice to see another one, if only briefly. Well, it's a lovely session again. Very nice conditions and a good range of moths. There's plenty of moths coming in, as you can see, and a lot are micros. A good range of species. We're on to over 35 now, and there's some more that I haven't yet written down in the book. I'm quite surprised at this, actually. I thought, will it be too breezy and that will put them off a little bit, but nope, it certainly isn't. And there's a lot more moths around and on the light than what it appears. With them being micros, they don't always stand out, but I do have one very nice micro which I don't think I've had before, and I've got to look up to see what it is. It's finding the time because there's always something to write down. Moths always coming in. Plus a couple of hornets, of course, and not forgetting Ledra. How can we forget Ledra? I daren't look at the light because I'll see something that I need to grab. It's that active, it's that kind of night. I never thought it would be like this at all, but it's turned up two interesting moths in two interesting pots, and they're both interesting for different reasons. The moth in here, which you may well be able to make out, is a vestal, which is usually a rare migrant. Well, it still is a rare migrant in Nottinghamshire. We don't get many of them, and if you get more than 2 or 3 records a year, it's quite astonishing. So, having seen one at Ealing Flash a couple of weeks ago, nice to see this one here, but this wasn't the species that I was hoping for. I was hoping for a more mundane fare like silver wine diamondback moth, but this vestal is in here and it's going home to be photographed and will be released safe and sound in the morning. The other moth is in here, and it's a waved umber, which if you know your moths, you'll think, what on earth is a waved umber doing out in the second week of August? And it's obviously a partial second brood, prompted by the temperature and the weather that we're having. I didn't expect to see one of these. These are typically sort of April and May moths of the spring period, but it's quite heavily marked. I'm taking it home to get some photographs of it, but it's interesting just because of its unusual second brood or partial second brood. Nice to get either way, because it's a beautiful moth, as you will have seen by the photographs. It's what makes this game so interesting. You never entirely know what's going to come on to this sheet, and I best have a look to see exactly what has come on to the sheet. I'll try and capture a few moths on the sheet. This of course is our perennial favourite, the brimstone. What an astonishingly beautiful species it is too, and the good thing about it, if you're new to trapping, this will be one of the first moths that you catch, and it will certainly encourage further interest. The coloration does that. To catch a moth that's just so beautifully coloured in that sulphur yellow, marvellous. What more could you want? And we go from yellow to green. Green for this light emerald. Pristine condition. This is the second brood, the start of the second brood. These are just starting to come back onto the wing now. And a very nice moth too, another moth that adds a touch of colour to any night's trapping. Absolutely mint condition, this one. And they do tend to fade over time. This is about as dark as sage green as these ever get. And another nice common moth that anyone new to trapping will soon catch. Oh, what a session this is turning out to be. Very surprised at this. Plenty of moths, but we've got good temperatures. Temperatures still in the high teens, I think. It might even still be 20. It feels very pleasant anyway. And a good range of moths. We're on to about 70 species now. There are more that I have forgotten to put down, I know that. Both dusky thorn and canary shouldered thorn are recent additions to the list. There's a common wave in. I always get common wave and common white wave mixed up. I've been moth trapping for nearly 30 years and I still get the two mixed up. I still have to look them up every time that I run the trap and one of them comes in. I can never remember which one is which. Just a couple of lime speck pugs have arrived. Small mottled willow, there's at least 6 on the sheet, but I suspect that there may be more. All in various states of array, you could say. Some very tattered and worn, hardly a mark on them, and others are very fresh. And a couple of nice interesting moths actually. One is beautiful. There's a couple of tree lichen beauties that are on the sheet, and one is beautifully marked, and that will be going back to be photographed in the morning. Nice to see a moth like tree lichen beauty. That it's another one of those that started appearing down south, and gradually the records got further north, and it arrived in Nottinghamshire a few years ago, and it definitely breeds in Nottinghamshire. It has been for several years, in my opinion. And the other moth interesting is dotted clay. I don't think I've seen dotted clay since Dillis and I used to trap in the Sherwood Forest area. It's not the most beautiful of specimens, should I say. There's a chunk of its forewing missing, and that has come in, so that's very nice. That's a nice record for a site like this. But as you can see, there are plenty of moths, and it's just constantly having to go round all the time. There's species coming in that I obviously miss. It's like being on patrol. It doesn't seem to have been a year for hawk moths on my sheet anyway. And here's another species that's just starting out with a second brood, and this of course is a poplar hawk. Truly stunning moth. It may only be made up of sort of pastel shades of grey and just a slight hint of olive to the wings. And it's nice that all the veins of the wings are visible. It's a characteristic of poplar hawk moth. It's a truly beautiful species, different to the two moths that we've not long since looked at, brimstone and light emerald. Bright colours don't always make a fabulous moth, neither does size, and these are large, the females obviously being larger than the males. But always nice when one of these turns up at your light. We've gone past the witching hour, so I get walloped in the eye. Not sure what it was. A great range of species. It's just so active. And as you know, if you've watched enough of these videos and you're still watching them, you'll know that I like to lie like this and just look for those different species that occasionally start to come in after midnight and that you haven't already recorded. It puts you in the firing line, of course, but as I've said before, I didn't expect a night like this. It just proves the unpredictability of it. And I wouldn't do any other type of moth trapping at all. I could not switch a light on, go to bed and leave it. I just wouldn't be able to do that at all. I just love it so much when you're there and something rare either suddenly appears or you see it come in. There's no feeling like it at all. I suppose people get the same though when they open the trap up in the morning, or close the trap up and then go back to bed again and then see what they've got. I like to be out and just experience it all. It's not for everybody, of course. So many moths coming in. I nearly ate that. I am getting hungry, And for some daft reason I did make a few sandwiches too, of which I've eaten on the way here, and the other one remains for the trip home. Right now, a cup of tea beckons, and making a note of what else has come in. Now, I tried earlier on to try and get some footage of one of these. This is a maiden's blush, and the one that I was trying to film earlier on was better marked than this. It had more of a blush to the forewings, and that's what gave this moth its fabulous name. They certainly knew how to name moths in them days. There's just the merest hint of a blush on each of the forewings, but a very attractive species and quite variable too. You never often really know what you're going to get with maiden's blush, and it never occurs in good numbers, just occasionally ones and twos. But it's not a particularly common moth. It's certainly not a moth that you will catch every night when you trap. It's always nice just to enjoy this moth when one comes along. And here, of course, these black arches. This is the only one that's come in this evening. Just look at those antennae. I know that I say that every time, but just look at them there. They're excessive, those antennae. But a beautiful moth, one which I've sort of nicknamed the doodle moth. And to join it, there's a common marbled carpet that's just come. Both might be disturbed by that Bradycellus ground beetle that has tucked itself away under the wings of the black arches. But two nice moths here. The black arches is getting slightly worn now, but the common marble carpet in the lower left hand corner of the screen is just starting out on their second brood. Not the best of grammar there, but it'll do. Well, my 3 hours are up, and what I'm going to do, I'll try and have a steady pack away and not get any of this lot in the car. Not like last time. I got home and watched a bit of television, then went to bed at 3 o'clock. Car alarm went off, and I can't remember what it was. I think it was a turnip moth that was in it. Went back upstairs, got back into bed. 3:15, car alarm went off, and it was a rosy rustic. So I'm going to try and make sure that all the moths that aren't going back to be photographed remain here in Gamston Wood. I will be having another look around the sheet, but I want to just go through some of the more interesting moths that have come in and that I haven't mentioned. It's been a fabulous session. Well, before I switch the light off, I'm going to have another go just around the sheet just to see what I have missed. There will be something, there will be some micro. It's quite a good time actually that I look forward to when I'm about to switch off and I just go around for one more check, and quite often there'll be something there that you didn't see. But the micros that have come in of late there, Catoptria falsella is a crambid, but a distinctly marked, quite small crambid to be honest, but very easy in terms of Nottinghamshire fauna to identify. There is a somewhat similar migrant which may well turn up in Nottinghamshire before too long, the way things are going. So Catoptria falsella, it's a nice moth to get, as is Phycotodes binivella, another one of those in. There's an oak hook tip that I can see that has just arrived, and a buff ermine too. It's non-stop. I'll never get the light switched off at this rate. Now a couple of other interesting micros. Sidea pomonella, the first of two. We used to get lots of those at Sherwood Forest. And a Cleris emorgana, which is a very distinctive and obvious Cleris species. Well, it almost has like a pinched waist effect when you look at it. But it's been a remarkable session. It really has. It's by far the best one that I've probably had in woodland, to be honest, in recent years. And moths are still coming in, of course, as they will do. But time to start and get packed up and eventually head for home once I've had another look through this lot. Well, as you can see, there are lots of moths, lots and lots on the sheet. What a fabulous August trapping session this has been here at Gamston Wood, and the moths are still coming in. But time to get the old car going and switch the light off, and while I'm doing that, you can have a gawp at this lot.